Something absolutely reeks about this entire situation. And I'm not talking about week-old Ville leftovers. We're witnessing two grown men who once called Olandria their friend systematically drag her name through every digital platform they can access. This isn't some accidental slip-up or harmless shade between former Love Island USA Season 7 castmates. This is calculated, methodical, and frankly, it screams pure desperation. When Ace sat down with Speedy Mormon and decided to question Nicolandria's authenticity, claiming Nick confessed there's no romantic spark between him and Olandria, that wasn't honesty speaking. That was strategy in motion. And if you think I'm reaching with this analysis, stick around because the receipts I'm about to present will completely blow your mind. The timing, the method, the psychological manipulation, it's all there in black and white. But first, smash that subscribe button faster than genuine Love Island friendships disappear after the cameras stop rolling. My subscriber count is looking lonelier than Taylor after realizing he was everyone's backup plan, so help a creator out here. Let's rewind to where this psychological warfare actually began. Because this beef didn't start with some podcast interview. This vendetta traces back to the villa, to a specific moment that clearly left some fragile egos completely shattered beyond repair. Remember when Ace and Taylor first attempted to publicly humiliate Olandria? When they thought they had orchestrated the perfect setup to send her packing from paradise? It was supposed to be their grand power move, their moment of ultimate control over the dating show dynamics, Ace dropping not-so-subtle hints about wanting certain people to stay, Taylor pulling his whole switching sides routine with surgical precision. Everything was perfectly choreographed to make Olandria look foolish in front of millions of Love Island viewers across America. They probably spent hours rehearsing their little performance, completely convinced they were about to execute the most flawless blindside in reality TV history. The plan was simple: isolate her, embarrass her, and watch her walk out defeated. But then something completely unexpected happened that derailed their entire master plan. Nick stepped up, shut down their manipulative game, and their carefully crafted humiliation ritual crumbled faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. Instead of Olandria walking out embarrassed and utterly defeated, she emerged stronger, more respected, and suddenly everyone was talking about how Nick had protected her with such genuine care. That single moment broke something fundamental inside both Ace and Taylor's psyche. They didn't just lose a strategic battle in the villa that day. They lost complete control of the narrative they thought they were writing. They went from being puppet masters pulling all the strings to becoming irrelevant side characters in someone else's beautiful love story. And clearly, their egos have never recovered from that psychological bruising. Here's what's really eating them alive like acid from the inside. Look at where everyone stands right now in their post-villa lives. Olandria has magazine covers, lucrative brand deals, and a devoted fan base that would literally go to war for her without hesitation. She's become bigger than Love Island USA itself, bigger than their petty villa politics, bigger than anything they could have imagined. Meanwhile, the only time Ace manages to trend on social media is when he's starting unnecessary drama about his former castmates. And Taylor's most memorable moment since leaving Paradise is admitting that producers basically made him waste everyone's time and emotional investment. That's not power or influence. That's purely parasitic behavior at its most transparent. They're literally feeding off her success like vampires because they cannot generate their own relevance without her name being attached to their messy content. Think about the twisted psychology operating here. These men watched the woman they had completely underestimated not just survive their calculated attempt to break her down, but actually thrive beyond anything they've personally achieved. Every single brand deal she signs, every magazine feature highlighting her success, every moment she shines brighter in the spotlight serves as a constant reminder of their spectacular failure to dim her light. So what do they do with all that built-up resentment? They keep trying the same tired tactics that failed so miserably the first time around. This podcast situation isn't Ace being genuinely honest about his friend's relationship dynamics. It's round two of the exact same manipulative game plan that backfired spectacularly when they first attempted it in the villa. The method is identical: public embarrassment disguised as concern. Let's examine Taylor's latest pathetic excuse, because this one really exposes the depths of their shared hypocrisy. During his recent appearances, he admitted that producers had influenced his decision to stay coupled with Olandria, claiming it wasn't really his authentic choice. But here's the million-dollar question that absolutely nobody seems to be asking directly. If that convenient story is actually true, why didn't he tell her the truth in real time? We witnessed other islanders in that exact same villa environment say, "I'm not interested," without any hesitation whatsoever. Cierra got removed from the show for her past, but at least other contestants were honest about their feelings when it mattered. But Taylor made a conscious choice to play along with what he now claims was producer manipulation. He let her invest emotionally, let her believe something genuine was building between them. That's not being passively influenced by behind-the-scenes production. That's making an active, conscious decision to deceive someone for your own strategic benefit. And here's where the situation gets really rich with irony. Ace was right there watching this entire charade unfold in real time. He even coached Taylor on specific tactics to secure his position over other potential couples. We have actual footage of Ace giving Taylor detailed advice on how to manipulate the coupling situation to his advantage. But now this same man wants to stand on his moral soapbox talking about integrity and authentic relationships. He wants us to believe he's somehow a beacon of truth while simultaneously admitting he was completely complicit in helping producers deceive Olandria. The math absolutely isn't adding up here, and their hypocrisy is showing more clearly than ever. If Ace genuinely had legitimate concerns about Nic and Olandria's relationship, if this was really about friendship, loyalty, and honest communication, he's had countless opportunities for private conversations. They were together at various industry events, at the reunion special, at different gatherings. They've had literal months to clear the air in a respectful man-to-man conversation. But instead of choosing private dialogue, he deliberately chose to air his grievances on a public podcast platform, knowing exactly how public and potentially damaging the inevitable fallout would be. That's not transparency or authentic concern. That's calculated theater designed for maximum impact. Quick reminder to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying this deep dive into reality TV psychology. I promise future videos will be just as messy and thoroughly researched as this analysis, because apparently we need someone to connect these obvious dots. All because Nic gave what Ace characterized as a diplomatic, non-committal answer to a question about something Ace claims he doesn't even personally care about. In the exact same breath, he confessed to being a willing accomplice in Taylor's systematic deception, actively helping waste Olandria's time and emotional energy while knowing she deserved so much better treatment. But somehow in his twisted logic, Nic owes him unwavering loyalty and should have publicly defended him against any criticism. The sheer audacity is absolutely astronomical. Here's the undeniable pattern that's impossible for anyone to ignore. Both Ace and Taylor have essentially made post-Villa careers out of staying relevant by systematically attacking Olandria's continued success. Every single time she reaches a new milestone, every time she secures a new opportunity or achievement, suddenly they have something negative to contribute. It's giving major, bitter X energy, except they were never actually the main character in her story to begin with. They were supporting cast members who got written out of the plot and simply cannot accept their reduced role in the narrative. The Love Island fandom sees through this transparent pattern with crystal clarity. When Taylor gets eliminated from the villa and his energy immediately shifts to resentment every single time Olandria gets positive recognition, those aren't coincidences. When Ace's most viral social media moments consistently come from throwing shade at the couple everyone's genuinely rooting for, that's not integrity speaking through him, that's pure jealousy, wearing a poorly constructed mask of concern. Let me educate everyone on something called virtue signaling, because Ace just provided us with a masterclass demonstration of this manipulative technique. Virtue signaling occurs when someone publicly expresses specific opinions or sentiments primarily to demonstrate their perceived moral superiority, using their claimed virtues as an effective smokescreen for far less honorable underlying behavior. For the first portion of that podcast interview, Ace systematically fed his audience exactly everything they wanted to hear. He talked extensively about his personal integrity, his professional success, his important position as a young black man making significant moves in the entertainment industry. He painted himself as the righteous truth-teller, the one person brave enough to expose fake relationships and shameless clout chasers.
But then, in those final segments, his carefully constructed mask began slipping noticeably. Suddenly, he looked far less like a moral authority figure and much more like a grown man having an elaborate ego tantrum because someone took away his favorite toy. The virtue signaling worked exactly as intended, though, because half his audience was so busy applauding his earlier points that they completely missed how contradictory and genuinely petty his actual grievances turned out to be. That's the genuinely dangerous thing about effective virtue signaling. It makes people feel good about supporting someone without encouraging them to critically examine whether their actions actually match their carefully chosen words. Ace told everyone he was unquestionably the good guy so convincingly that many forgot to notice when he started acting exactly like the villain. Here's what really exposes the fundamental difference between genuine friendship and performative loyalty for social media. While Ace and Taylor have made an actual sport of publicly embarrassing and questioning Olandria's every move, Nic has consistently done the complete opposite.
Nic hasn't humiliated her in front of millions of viewers. He hasn't turned their private conversations into public weapons designed to hurt her. He hasn't cynically used her name to generate buzz and engagement for his own content creation. In today's world, where image and reputation can literally make or break career opportunities, that kind of consistent protection is genuinely rare and incredibly valuable. When Ace stood up on that podcast platform, his strategic silence about defending his so-called friend spoke volumes about his true character. When someone you genuinely care about is being systematically attacked, your natural first instinct should always be protection, not piling on with additional criticism.
But Ace made the calculated choice to add fuel to a fire that was already threatening to consume someone he claimed to value as a friend. The contrast between their approaches is stark and absolutely telling about their real feelings regarding Olandria's success. The Love Island fandom isn't comprised of naive viewers. They see straight through manufactured drama and desperate attempts at maintaining relevance. When fans immediately called out Ace's character after his podcast appearance, when they questioned his suspicious motives and convenient timing, that wasn't mindless mob mentality in action. That was collective recognition of psychological manipulation being broadcast in real time. Fans understand intuitively that if you truly want to address legitimate issues with friends, you handle it privately first. If you genuinely care about someone's well-being and reputation, you don't deliberately expose them to additional scrutiny and harmful speculation.
And if you're really committed to integrity as a core value, your actions consistently match your proclaimed words across all situations, not just when it's convenient or profitable. The response from Nicolandria themselves was absolutely perfect in its maturity. Instead of engaging in a messy public back and forth that would only generate more drama, they responded with pure grace and united strength, letting their genuine relationship speak for itself without needing to defend or explain. That's the kind of emotional maturity and relationship security that simply cannot be faked or manufactured. And it stands in sharp contrast to the chaos and negativity their former villamates continue creating purely for attention and engagement. Let's zoom out for a crucial moment and discuss the bigger picture here, because this situation represents something significantly larger than just typical Love Island drama. Olandria is a dark-skinned black woman who entered that villa knowing she would face additional layers of scrutiny, additional skepticism about her motives, and additional challenges that other contestants might never have to encounter or overcome.
She's successfully navigated online harassment, constant questioning of her authenticity, and relentless speculation about every aspect of her personality and relationships. Instead of her former villa friends working to ease that unfair burden, they've deliberately chosen to add to it with their public attacks. Instead of using their platforms to uplift and protect someone facing unique challenges, they've weaponized their voices and influence to systematically tear her down. That's not just personally disappointing behavior, it's culturally harmful on a much broader level. When black women are already fighting for basic respect and recognition in spaces that weren't originally designed to include them, the absolute last thing they need is calculated sabotage from people who should naturally be allies and supporters. The fans who consistently defend Nicolandria understand this dynamic perfectly. They're not just supporting a cute couple or their favorite islanders, they're actively supporting the principle that black women deserve loyalty, protection, and celebration of their achievements without constant question. They're rejecting the harmful narrative that suggests a black woman's success is somehow automatically less legitimate or more suspicious than anyone else's accomplishments. Before we wrap this up, make sure to subscribe if you believe in supporting creators who dig deeper than surface-level gossip. My notification bell is feeling as neglected as genuine accountability in reality TV, so don't leave me hanging here. What we've witnessed over these past months isn't just about reality TV drama or typical social media beef between former cast members. It's fundamentally about the real cost of betrayal and what happens when people you trust decide that your success represents a direct threat to their fragile ego. Olandria has handled this entire situation with remarkable grace and maturity that honestly puts most adults to shame. But let's be completely honest about what she's been forced to endure emotionally. Imagine building meaningful friendships with people in an intense, unique environment, only to watch them systematically turn your most personal relationships into content for their own platforms and personal gain. The emotional toll of that kind of calculated betrayal is absolutely real and shouldn't be minimized. When someone you considered family makes the deliberate choice to exploit your vulnerabilities for clicks, views, and temporary relevance, it fundamentally changes how you approach trust and future relationships. But here's what's genuinely beautiful about how this entire situation has ultimately played out. Instead of breaking Olandria down as intended, these coordinated attacks have only highlighted her incredible inner strength. Instead of isolating her from genuine support, they've clearly shown exactly who deserves her loyalty and who was never truly worthy of it in the first place.
At its core, this entire situation comes down to one simple question. What does real friendship actually look like in practice? Is it supporting someone's success, even when it surpasses your own achievements? Is it protecting their reputation instead of exploiting their vulnerabilities for personal gain? Is it addressing conflicts privately and respectfully before airing them publicly for entertainment? The answer seems obvious to most people, but apparently it needs to be stated clearly and directly. Real friends don't weaponize private conversations for public content. Real friends don't time their supposed concerns for maximum damage and embarrassment. Real friends don't build their own relevance on the foundation of someone else's pain and vulnerability. What Ace and Taylor have demonstrated isn't friendship at all. It's transactional relationship masquerading as loyalty. Ego protection disguised as honesty and concern. They've revealed that their connection to Olandria was always conditional on her staying in what they considered her proper place in their hierarchy.
When she exceeded those artificial limitations, when she achieved success they couldn't control or claim credit for, their true colors emerged completely. We have the power to reject manufactured drama and celebrate authentic connections. We have the power to hold people accountable for their actions, not just their carefully crafted words. If you believe in supporting content that goes deeper than surface-level drama, that analyzes the psychology behind the headlines, and that stands up for people who deserve better treatment, then subscribe to this channel right now. Help me build a community that values truth, empathy, and accountability above cheap entertainment. Because at the end of the day, we all deserve friends who stand beside us when the world wants to tear us down, not friends who hand the world the weapons to do it more effectively. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for caring enough to want the complete story behind the headlines. The tea has been spilled, the receipts have been thoroughly examined, and the truth has been told. Now it's up to all of us to decide what we do with that information. Choose wisely, because your support shapes the kind of content that gets rewarded in this space.